Want to destroy the Philidor Defense before your opponent even knows what hit them? These killer opening traps for white will turn a passive setup into a powerful attack. In this video, we'll uncover the most dangerous traps white can use to crush the Philidor Defense and punish unprepared opponents fast. Whether you're a beginner learning the basics or a club player looking for a killer edge, these tactics will take your opening game to the next level. Stay till the end. You don't want to miss the final trap that has stunned even experienced players. Here comes a deadly trap that leaves black gasping in just 8 moves. Let's break it down. We begin with pawn to e4. Black mirrors it with pawn to e5. The knight comes out to f3, attacking the center, and black responds with a solid pawn to d6 to defend. Bishop to c4, bishop to g4. Black pins the knight, trying to apply early pressure. We castle. Black develops the knight to c6. We develop our knight to c3. Black plays knight to d4, but walks right into the ambush. Now watch this. Knight captures on e5. We offer a queen sacrifice. Black eagerly takes the bait. Their bishop captures on d1. It seems like white just gave away everything. But wait, bishop takes on f7, a brutal check. Only move, the king steps to e7, and now, boom! Knight jumps to d5, and it's checkmate. In just 8 moves, black is wiped off the board. Now let's check out another brilliant trap in the Philidor Defense. One where white sacrifices a bishop, sets a deadly pin, and walks away with a free rook. Let's see how it unfolds. We play pawn to e4. Black responds with pawn to e5, knight to f3. Black plays pawn to d6. We strike the center with pawn to d4, and black develops their knight to d7. We calmly bring out the bishop to c4, and black plays pawn to c6, a cautious move to prepare the center. Now we castle. Black develops their dark square bishop to e7, preparing to castle. But here comes the subtle strike. We capture on e5 with our pawn, and black recaptures, opening the center. We now bring the queen to e2, lining it up with the king and central file. Black responds with the kingside knight to f6 to support the center. We slide the rook to d1, facing down black's queen. Black moves their queen to c7. Then we jump the kingside knight forward, directly threatening black's position. Black castles kingside. But that's the fatal mistake. We crash through with a bishop sacrifice on f7, forcing black's rook to capture. Now comes the killer blow. We shift the queen to c4, and boom! The rook is pinned. It cannot move. Black is paralyzed. White wins a full rook, and the game tilts instantly. A calm opening turned into a brutal tactical blow in just a few moves. Our next trap is sharp and instructive. It uses strategy, timing, and a deadly queen and bishop combo to tear open black's position. Let's walk through it. We start with pawn to e4. Black replies with pawn to e5. Knight to f3. Black defends with pawn to d6. Then comes pawn to d4. Black develops the knight to d7. Bishop to c4. Pawn to c6. Next, we support the center with a pawn to c3. Slow and steady. Black develops the dark square bishop. Now comes the key idea. We move the queen to b3, directly targeting the weak square on f7. Black tries to defend by developing their kingside knight to h6. We seize the moment. The bishop captures the knight, exposing the kingside. Black recaptures with the pawn, shattering their own pawn structure and leaving their king dangerously exposed. And now, the final blow. Our light-squared bishop crashes in on f7, a direct hit. The king is forced out and black's defenses are in ruins. This is not just a trap, it's a lesson in timing, pressure, and punishing passive defense. Next, we have a clean and deadly trap in the Philidor Defense, where we use simple development and a tactical queen maneuver to win a pawn and leave black's position in shambles. We begin with pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn to d6, then pawn to d4, knight to d7, bishop to c4. Black develops their bishop to e7. Then comes the breakthrough. We capture the center pawn. Black accepts and brings the knight forward. We capture again with our knight, inviting black to recapture with their pawn, and they do. Now comes the trap. We bring the queen out to h5, attacking f7. Black pushes the kingside pawn to g6, trying to drive the queen away. But that's exactly what we wanted. The queen calmly takes the central pawn on e5. Not only are we up a clean pawn, black's kingside is wide open, and their king is stuck in the center with no safe way to castle. This is a perfect example of how one small mistake in the Philidor defense can lead to immediate disaster. Here's another beautiful and brutal trap in the Philidor defense. One wrong capture by black, and the game collapses in just a few moves. We begin with pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn to d6, then pawn to d4. Black brings out the bishop to g4, pinning the knight. We immediately strike the center with our pawn. Black responds by capturing the knight, a bold trade. But here's the problem. We recapture with the queen, placing it in the center and keeping pressure alive. Black takes back in the center, and at first glance it seems balanced. But we calmly develop the bishop to c4, eyeing the vulnerable f7 square. Black pushes the pawn to f6 to defend, but weakens their light squares. Now we swing the queen over to b3, attacking the b7 pawn and also threatening f7. We are already better. Many black players defend with pawn to b6. Now we bring the bishop up to f7, delivering a check. The king is forced to step forward. And then the queen strikes again. Queen to e6, checkmate. A textbook Philidor disaster caused by early trades and weakened squares. Now let's discover another outstanding trap to crush the Philidor defense. In just a few moves, we lure black into grabbing material, only to walk right into a beautiful checkmate. We play pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn to d6. We develop the bishop to c4. Black responds with bishop to g4. Then we calmly bring out the knight to c3, reinforcing the center. But now it gets tricky. Instead of continuing normal development, black pushes a side pawn, either on the queen side or near their king, trying to grab space. And now we strike. We sacrifice our knight in the center, baiting black to capture the queen. And black falls for it, capturing the queen without hesitation. But it's a trap. We respond with a crushing check using our bishop, forcing the king out into the open. And then comes the final move. The knight jumps forward, covering all escape squares and delivering a picture-perfect checkmate. The king is trapped. The game is over. All because black got greedy. Our final trap in the Philidor defense is simple, but deadly. It punishes greedy play and shows the power of one well-timed queen move. We begin with pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, pawn to d6. Then we play a quiet pawn move to h3 on the king side. It looks slow, but it's part of the setup. Black brings out the knight to f6, aiming for quick development. We play a sneaky central pawn to c3. Now comes the moment. Black gets greedy and captures our central pawn, thinking they've won a free one. But here's the trick. We immediately swing our queen to a4, delivering a check. The black king is under pressure, and suddenly that knight is lost. Black loses material early, and we gain a powerful lead. Now you know how to turn the Philidor into a trap-filled nightmare for black. Drop a comment below and tell us which trap surprised you the most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more powerful chess opening tricks and traps. Want to go beyond the basics? Join our channel as a paid member to unlock exclusive content, deep dive trap breakdowns, and priority replies to your questions. And if you found this video helpful, consider sending a super thanks. It directly supports the channel and helps us create more content you love. Thanks for watching. And remember, every great player starts with smart openings. Keep learning, keep playing, and I'll see you in the next checkmate.